All
Holy
right,
fuck, those
welcome
are
to
hot. Sorry, bro. Go ahead.
welcome to episode 5 of Transition Takes, the show that runs a zone in a men's pickup basketball league. Thank you for
Oh
tuning
my
in. If you
gosh.
end up enjoying the show, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I would like to thank the sponsor of today's episode, DUBBY, your taste buds' favorite energy drink. Today, once again, I'm not drinking any, but I do have some. I'm just not drinking it. It's late, so I don't want to get all hyped up on DUBBY, which does provide you excellent energy and focus throughout the day. Once more, you can use code XMASON at checkout for 10% off your order. I'm excited to welcome back my co-host, Devin. Devin, what's going on in your life?
Not sick anymore. But hey, you did good last week with the video. I liked it. It was entertaining.
Thank you,
UFC
thank you.
part was cool. Going on with my life. Nothing really too new. We joined a men's league, as you somewhat mentioned. We sucked our first game, but we're gonna get better.
Well, some of us might. All right.
We're
Well,
talking as a team.
yeah, the zone was crazy, but
Facts.
we have a loaded show today, dude, so I say let's get into it.
Sounds good.
Let's roll. All right, we're going to start here with Mavs versus Thunder. Devin, what move or moves do you think the Thunder should make this offseason to get over the hump?
Say goodbye to Josh Giddey. He needs to go.
For a bag of
They
chips.
need anything really. They just need really. They had the experience. They need Shea just needs more help. Hopefully, J-Dub and Chet just get better with time. Um, I think they do need another big body. Um, like even if it's just a backup big like Drummond or something. And I do think they need another 3-and-D wing. But other than that, they're just gonna get better with time. Really, that's about it.
That's true. The crazy thing about Shea that most people don't realize is that he's actually older than most think. He's older than Luca is.
He's 25, 26.
Yeah. So he's coming into his prime, so they kind of have to play that middle ground of not
Yeah.
overreacting to anything, but they do need to put the right team around him quick.
Well, the
Um,
good part is, sorry to cut you off, with that whole thing, they don't really have super young people. Like J Dub was an older rookie, but they have like Case and Wallace and Chet for their young people. But yeah,
yeah, I think just to piggyback off what you said. I think the number one thing is they need size. I hear the Cavs are trading, so they're either going to keep Allen or Mobley. They're not going to keep both, and they're either going to keep Garland or Mitchell. They're not going to keep both. And ironically enough, I think Allen would work very well. I think they need another big. I don't think Chet's body is going to last playing the 5. I think he
yeah,
needs to be at the 4. So if they could trade for Allen or maybe a Clint Capella, because I think Atlanta's probably going to be blowing it up as well. And then I would look into trading for an elite off guard, such as, like I said, ironically enough, Donovan Mitchell. I would be very careful about it because J Dub very well could just be that guy to where you don't need to trade for anyone. But it's something I would at least look into, see if you can get him for the right price. And then I said trade Giddy for a bag of chips. I mean, he was unplayable, absolutely unplayable. And plus
yeah.
now
He
he,
averaged what 8, 2, and 2.
yeah, and he towards the end of the series he was averaging like 12 minutes a game.
Yeah,
He's unplayable, especially he's a guard that needs the ball in his hands, and you're not going to take the ball out of Shea's hands to give it to Giddy, or at
no,
least you shouldn't.
no, not at all.
Um,
Um, the thing
so
with the Dono trade is I do know that the Cavs want to stay somewhat competitive if they do trade one of those two, so they're not going to just want a bunch of picks and Josh Giddey back.
that's true. Yeah, and Garland
Hmm.
wouldn't work because I I think that they're going to end up keeping Donovan Mitchell. They'll probably re-sign him, and then Mitchell will request a trade after getting it because he wants to get the extra money. So he'll probably
Yeah.
be there for an extra year after he signs the extension. And Garland wouldn't fit with Shea. But if they could get
No,
Jarrett
he wouldn't.
Allen or a Clint Capella type, and then, I mean, it's probably unlikely, but maybe like a Paul George. But they really don't need it. That's the thing. They just need
Yeah.
time and they need size is what they
They
need.
really need another year or two.
Right. which is pretty much what everybody said. That's why nobody really took them all that
Yeah.
serious. Everybody,
Even though they looked great.
yeah, I mean, when you watch the games, it was pretty clear outside of game one that Dallas was the better team.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as if Dallas just mopped the floor with them. Dallas just kind of had like mild control for pretty much every game. But it
Yeah.
was control in the fact that the Thunder on one good run would be winning. It wasn't like they were getting blown out the whole time.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next question, which I saw this on Twitter. It's the only reason that I included it. I think it's ridiculous, but I'm curious to hear your opinion. Are the Thunder the worst one
No.
seed in NBA history?
Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure. Now, I don't know if they finished as a 1 seed, but I think that Jazz team, one of those years, finished as the 1 seed,
With the
and they're
Mitchell
far worse
Gobert
than the
ones?
Thunder. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
they did.
sure there was 1 year where they did. That is the worst team. I don't know if they're the worst, but they are worse than this Thunder team.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't.
I mean,
don't like that.
there's one seeds that have lost to 8 seeds before. That should automatically be worse. That I think it's kind of a silly question all in all because are you a bad one seed for being eliminated early, or is it a talent thing? Like, what if you were hurt and that's why you got eliminated early? The
Yeah.
Thunder are actually one of the more impressive one seeds because of how young they are. And I just saw immediately after the game, I was on Twitter and I just saw everyone saying worst one seed ever, worst one seed ever, layup for the Mavs. Like, you guys are completely tripping. I just think it was a bad matchup for the Thunder more than anything. The Thunder are undersized and they couldn't handle the length and athleticism of the Mavs bigs. And that's really all it came down to. I mean, Lively had one of the best series that a rookie center has ever had simply because the Thunder didn't match up very well. If I'm a Thunder fan, the only tough pill to swallow is that Luka and Kyrie didn't really beat them. The role players beat them. So that's
100%.
kind of tough to go home and say that, but at the end of the day, you were one shot away from going to a game 7 in Oklahoma City to go to the Western Conference Finals. I think if you asked every Thunder fan in the world if they would take that at the end of the season, they would say yes.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
I think
some
it's a
people wrote the
ridiculous
Thunder
question.
off the first series. Some people thought they could have lost.
Was I one
So-
of them?
We both said that it can be a series if Zion's healthy.
I thought it would have been. I still think the Thunder
I
would
think
have
it
won,
would have
though.
went 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have went 6.
It's just unfortunate that Zion's never freaking healthy.
Dude, I want to see him in the playoffs. Have we seen that yet? don't think we have, no.
No.
Because I know last year he was injured.
Maybe the year they played the Suns.
No, that was last year. He was hurt during that. He got hurt around All-Star
No,
break
that
and never
wasn't
came
last
back.
year. That wasn't last year. Because Alex and I went to that game. That was the year that they lost to the Mavs in the Western Conference Finals, which was not last year.
No, I'm thinking of the year where it was first round. I'm pretty sure it was last year, and the Pelicans, I thought they played the Suns. They fought. Brandon Ingram played really well. It went to 6, but every game was close.
Yeah, that was the year before.
Oh, okay.
Because when Alex and I went, KD was not on that team. I wish he was, but he wasn't. Speaking of which, I'm wearing my Luka jersey today. Because Devin and I talk a lot outside of the podcast, and we were in an Xbox party together, and Devin said, "What do you think is going to happen in this in Game 6?" And I told Devin that there is a 0% chance that the Thunder win. 0%. And he gave me shit for it, and here we are today.
I mean, let's be technically right. There was a chance they were going to win that. It came down to a last-second free throw.
You know the best part about that is because Dallas won, I can disagree with you.
Yeah, no, you can't. But
The game was
if
never
it comes
in
down
doubt.
to that, it was they were down with 5 seconds left.
But they won. All right, moving on.
True.
We're going to talk a little bit about the Knicks versus Pacers. Same question, except this time for the Knicks. What move or move should the Knicks make to get over the hump?
Knicks are very tough. I think they need to try their hardest to get rid of Julius Randle this offseason for somebody.
True.
If they're a team that can go out, get Paul George, like one of those eye level wings, or if they want to get in the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes, I just think it showed that they can't have Brunson just carry them throughout the playoffs. Like they can do it through basically every team in the East. There's a few teams they cannot beat while playing one man ball. And so I would just say the main thing is because their depth was great. I think they just need to be healthy, stop playing 48 minutes a night in the regular season, and get Paul George or get in the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes. That's about all they can do.
Yeah, that was the first thing I put. Common theme amongst these teams, but try and look into the Donovan Mitchell trade. Um, Having a 6 foot guard with the ball in his hand that much is a tough way to win and him stay healthy. The handbrake was just a complete freak accident. I mean, that how many times a game does that exact
Yeah,
play happen and they don't break their hand? But the foot thing is he's just wearing down, which we'll get
that's 2 years in
more
a row.
right. We'll get more into Thibodeau in a second, but um, that I think Donovan Mitchell and if not Donovan Mitchell, just someone else who can take the ball out of Brunson's hands from time to time, even if it's someone like Jordan Clarkson who can just create his own shot consistently.
Yeah.
Um, the problem for the Knicks, and I watch a lot, well, not a lot, but I watch a decent amount of like sport television, and everybody is saying like, oh, this was such a successful season for the Knicks, and they should be so happy about it, and yada yada yada. I don't have that take at all.
Yeah,
With
totally
how
agree with you.
with how the Eastern Conference broke down, the Bucks
Hmm.
being hurt, the Sixers being hurt, the Heat being hurt, they needed to make the conference finals. They had to. I mean, to lose to the Pacers at home in a game 7, and not just to lose, but to get kind of dominated, how close could they possibly be with how everything broke perfectly for them and the best they got was the semifinals?
Yeah,
And,
I
and
don't
not
know.
only in the playoffs, but in the regular season as well, those teams dealing with those injuries allowed the Knicks to get the 2 seed because it's not like they were the 2 seed all year. They moved into it very late in the year due to the other teams kind of deteriorating at the end. And I tweeted it the other day. At the end of the day, the Knicks they ran out of gas, which, shout out Stan Van Gundy. At least they won game 5, right? All right. Next question we got. Can you win a championship with Tibbs as your coach? And I would like to start this one
Go ahead.
because I went on what is slowly becoming a little bit of a famous rant. We got a couple thousand views on my rant on TikTok of this nonsense.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Let's go.
He needs to chill out, man. Like, you can't play these players 48 minutes a game. There's a reason that other NBA teams don't do this, and I don't think you can win a championship with him because he's proven. I mean, I've been watching basketball. I know he was the Bulls coach back when they had Rose, and that's
Yep.
almost 15 years ago now. So I don't know if he had a job before that or not, but at least for the last 15 years, this is what happens to his teams. They are mildly successful. He builds a good culture, and then their bodies just deteriorate. Um, he's the kind of coach that builds a culture, and then you need someone else to get over the hump, a la like a Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr kind of situation. Um,
Yeah.
the common thread between him and his playoff teams is they are just ravished by injuries and gassed by the end. He's a good coach, but his mantra doesn't deliver championships. And it's unfortunate because he does get the most out of his players and he gets them to play hard and they have a lot of heart and everything else. But at the end of the day, the best ability is availability, and he doesn't allow his players to be available because he destroys them. Uh, it's a sad reality. But what are your thoughts on the situation?
I'd have to agree with you. I do think, say they got a second star, I think they can. But I think Tibbs, a lot of his teams that he has coached have 1 star. It's a 1 star system, and he tries to get as much games as he can out of that star, and they get injured in the playoffs because they play so much. I do think with a second star, he can get them over there. It's going to be really hard because like most of the role players stayed healthy. A lot. It was like freak accidents. Like OG gets hurt no matter who his coach is. That's just gonna happen.
But
But like Mitch Robinson,
his injury is
yes,
a
it is a
maintenance injury.
yes, it is a maintenance injury. I completely agree with you and 100 wholeheartedly. But like I said, he's had one star, so he's relying on DiVincenzo and Josh Hart to be a secondary star. Like that's rough. But it's probably a very low chance he wins a championship or is able to because all the things you said. Even with the secondary star, he'll probably play so many minutes with them both. But maybe not. Maybe he gets a 50, like another. Say he gets Donovan Mitchell and him and Jalen Brunson split time on the court. Maybe Tibbs does that.
I mean, the good
But
news for the Knicks and him in general is that for the first time in my lifetime, your lifetime, and most NBA players now lifetime, the Knicks are cool again. And we saw Madison Square Garden every single game there. Their crowd was insane. And even when they went to Philly, like they traveled well, so they have a chance to build something because people actually believe in the Knicks again.
hmm
So it's just going to be important for them to finally kind of strike gold in free agency, which they failed to do repeatedly between LeBron not choosing to go there, 10 years ago, and then KD and Kyrie not
all the
going and all
sweepstakes in
that.
the past 15 years.
Right. The Knicks are always right there, and then they end up with the secondary star, which in this case ended up working out for them because the secondary star they got was Brunson. But
Yeah, yeah, he's a
they
monster.
hopefully they. I mean, I'm rooting for them a little bit. I don't have any problem against the Knicks, and their
Oh yeah.
games were very entertaining because the crowd, man, the crowd of NBA games, NFL games. I'm a WWE fan. I will.
hmm
About a month ago, they did a show in France, and Randy Orton. Do you know who Randy Orton is?
Yeah, I do. I'm not that out of the game. I watched it as a
Okay.
kid.
Okay. Randy Orton is coming out, and the crowd is singing the theme song back at him to where it's like deafening. It literally gave me goosebumps. But I say all that to say that a great crowd can make the entertainment watching it much higher.
100%. Like
And
I don't know. Did you? Sorry, you're good. You're good.
no, I was gonna segue into the next thing, so you can go.
Okay. So like speaking of the fan thing, do you remember Jimmy's 56-point game last year?
No, I didn't even know that
You
happened.
didn't. Oh, it was against the Bucks, dude. The crowd made the
Oh, in the
games like
playoffs?
yeah,
Oh yeah, I do
yeah.
remember
I
that.
like when I see that highlight come back up on my Twitter page. It's just like that is so fun to watch because of the crowd. Like they
Yeah.
all, it's white out. It makes it so much more fun.
Yeah, no, a good home crowd means a lot. Which is, as a Cowboys fan, is tough because the Cowboys crowd kind of sucks, to be honest with you.
It does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I'm a Cardinals
very
fan, so it's not much different.
they travel well and they show up. Like the home games, it's not like the road team has an advantage. It's just they're very, for lack of a better term, like bougie. Like they're not like ruckus. They're not creating havoc. They're
hmm
like stubborn old rich people is like the best way to describe like the Cowboys home crowd. It's weird.
Got you.
And the only way Tibbs could possibly win a title is if he gets a large order of today's sponsor, DUBBY. DUBBY could provide the Knicks with the extra energy and focus needed to get out of round two. Stan Vangundy may want to place an order as well to refocus on the goal of the NBA, which is to win the title, not a Game 5 that puts the team up 3-2. And they can both use code XMason at checkout for 10% off.
I like that.
It was pretty good. All right, moving on. We have what moves should the Nuggets make to get over the hump?
They they already went over the hump. They just so happened to run into the best team in the league, maybe.
Get back
They
over
went
the
to Game
hump.
7. Um, what can they do? Bench? Get a bench guy. Their bench was awful. Has been awful all year.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need another shooter off their bench. But other than that, it's keep their same team. Like I said, get another guy off the bench that can score, and you're good. They're a great team. Great offense, great defense, best player in the world. Went to
Yep.
Game 7.
Bruce Brown was a huge loss.
Yeah.
They're not that the solution is simple, but the proposition is simple. They need to build a
Yeah.
bench, and they need to find a a capable backup center. Because DeAndre Jordan
Mhm.
obviously isn't gonna do it.
I mean, Aaron Gordon runs backup center in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I don't think they should. I think they need to get an actual backup center.
Yeah.
And I would explore. I'd kind of throw a hook out there and see if anyone bites on trading MPJ.
MPJ?
Yeah, and see if they can get another ball handler. Because outside of Jokic and Murray, they don't really have anyone who can create their own shot. Even MPJ, who was their second best player in the
Playoffs, really.
I think he was the second best player in the first round. I think Aaron Gordon was the
Yeah.
second best player consistently, which is a detriment on Murray. I mean, he was hurt, but if you're
He
playing,
just had games.
yeah, if you're playing, man, you're expected to show up. And even he scored 35 in Game 7, which looks really good, but he started slow and he ended horribly. I actually have some interesting stats here because I actually want to touch on this series a little bit. I don't want to just talk about the Nuggets' future, since their future is kind of a simplistic answer.
Yeah.
To start off with, in Game 6, the Nuggets lost by 45. That's unacceptable. And a lot of people are chucking it up to like, oh, they checked out because they knew Game 7 was happening. You can't just give away a game against a team as talented as the Wolves. And the Wolves showed you those first two games like, hey, we're not to be taken lightly. And I want to play a little game with you real quick, okay? I have the totals for the series for points, field goal percentage, free throws made, a bunch of different categories. I'm going to read it, and I want you to tell me whether you think the Nuggets had the most or the Wolves had the most, okay?
Okay.
All right, we're going to start with points.
Timberwolves.
Correct. Field goal percentage.
Timberwolves.
Correct. Free throws made.
Nuggets.
Incorrect. It was the Wolves. It was 113 to 98. And actually, to go back, points was 719 to 683 in the favor of the Wolves. Field goal percentage was 47% to 45% in favor of the Wolves. Free throws made was 113 to 98 in favor of the Wolves. All right. Now rebounds.
The Wolves.
Yep, 300 to 280. Assists.
The Wolves.
170 to 161 Wolves. Steals.
The Wolves.
50 to 45 Wolves. Blocks.
The Wolves.
41 to 35 Wolves. Turnovers.
Who had more?
Mm-hmm.
The Nuggets.
Yep. The one number they had more of was turnovers, which, in case anyone hasn't watched basketball before, that's not good. 88 turnovers to 82. I read all of those to say that obviously the Nuggets won 3 in a row, but that was mostly because Jokic, which he is still currently the best player in the world, whatever. Jokic had 3 games in a row of absolute offensive excellence. And in all of those games, except for one, which was Game 3, it was a close game. The Wolves kind of dominated them. It's hard to say that a team was dominated in a 7-game series, but it's as close to being dominated in a 7-game series as I can remember when you lose 2 different games by 30 plus. You can't mail in a game against a team of that caliber. And the final 22 minutes of Game 7, Devin, this might blow your mind if you haven't seen it, because we were actually, playing that basketball game during this. Yeah. In the final 22 minutes of Game 7, the Wolves outscored the Nuggets 60 to 32, out-rebounded them 26 to 12. Field goal percentage was 51 to 34, and free throw discrepancy was 16 to 5. The Nuggets blew the largest second half lead in a Game 7 in NBA history. It's an absolute historic collapse for a champ. Not only that, but a champ that was up 3-2. And in the second half of Game 7, they had the 5th fewest points ever scored by a home team, which was 37 total points in the second half.
Yeah, the Timberwolves defense is just insane.
It isn't. Oh,
something different.
I didn't even point this out. In the last 22 minutes of the game, the Nuggets scored 32, as I said. 21 of them were from Jokic, and 11 came from the rest
Wow.
of the team
Yeah.
combined.
The box score was crazy. I think Jamal and Jokic were the only people in double digits in Game 7.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
because they scored 69 combined out of the team's like 98. I think it was. I think they had 98. It was something to behold. Look, the box score was crazy,
Yeah.
and I think, and this is going to bring us to our next thing. If do you have anything else to add on that
Yes, one
situation?
more thing to add. So
Uh
you
huh.
remember, I think it was episode 1, maybe 2, where you said Dante DiVincenzo's the GOAT?
Yeah, yeah.
I would like to change that to Nas Reed.
Nas Reed is
Please.
pretty goat like. I won't lie.
Dude, Nas Reed closed this game, and he is the reason that game was closed. He
Yeah,
was playing defense. He had a put. He was doing everything on the court, guarding Jokic, putting back. Yeah, but we can move on now as long as that's out there.
yeah. That actually reminded me to say that. Kind of shout out to Nas, of course, but also Gobert and Cat, who I said in the last episode would probably be in trade rumors if that series would have ended in 6, where the
Hmm.
Nuggets won 4 in a row. They showed up, man. There was a lot of people at halftime saying that the Wolves should bench Gobert, and Gobert just hung in there. He just continued to hang in there, and he hit that crazy post fade. That was
Dude,
insane.
I can't
Cat,
believe he hit that.
I don't think anybody can. Uh, Cat with that putback, the putback that he got really ended the game.
I didn't see his put back. Oh yes, I did. Yes, I did. Now,
Yeah,
that-
it,
yeah.
it pretty much ended the game right there. So shout out them,
Hmm.
man. The apology has to be as loud as the disrespect, and they had an excellent overall series, both of them. And at the end of the day, man, Jokic is the best player in the world. He's probably a top 20 player of all time. You can't hate on Gobert that much for not being able to guard him one on
Uh
one.
huh.
Like
Well,
good
mm,
offense will always be good defense. Like it always does.
you can hate on him just a little bit because he's the defensive player of the year, and the worst defending center on that team was the best defensive center for Jokic in Cat. So I like what Draymond was talking about on the. Did you see him hating on Gobert like all day on the TNT thing?
Yeah, at some point, man,
It's over hating.
when they
It's
know
crazy.
that Draymond has beef with someone, they can't be asking him questions like that because it's like it's coming
For
from
the
a place
views.
of just yeah, that's true. Pretty much everything they do is for the views. Do you think that Dikembe Mutombo is a good defensive center, or he was?
I mean, he was an interior threat. I don't have enough to go off of. I never really watched him. I just know that he was very good at blocking shots. That's all I really know.
The year that he won Defensive Player of the Year and the Sixers went to the finals against the Lakers, Shaq averaged 35 and 12. And I
Yeah,
mean, like I said, dominant offense usually and almost
yeah,
always beats even
100%.
dominant defense. All
I
right,
just hate the Defensive Player of the Year award, but we can get into that another time.
I'm
Just stat
very
based.
curious. Well, yeah, we'll have to put
It's
a pin in that.
yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to what I like to call Mason's Mike Malone and Jamal Murray rant. I I touched on it a bit through what we were just talking about with how they were kind of thoroughly dominated to a certain extent. The Jokic is excellent, and none of this applies. Really, none of it applies to Jokic, Gordon, MPJ a little bit, but he's kind of a role player, so it doesn't apply to him much. The Nuggets are an incredibly frustrating team, and a team that I'm kind of growing to despise. Their front running is unbelievable. Last year they went 16-4 in the playoffs and kind of just walked to a championship, which more power to them. They were a well-oiled machine and they made it happen. But
Yeah.
this year, as soon as adversity hit, we got Jamal Murray throwing up money signs. We have him throwing stuff at referees, and the attitudes of Jamal and Malone after Game 7, the excuse
Oh my
making,
gosh.
it was unbelievable. They and Malone actively trolled LeBron last year after They won the championship. The
Mm-hmm.
greatest player of all time. And now he's making excuses that because they played into late June, they didn't have enough energy
Dude,
to keep a 20-point lead at halftime. Like, really? And then when
did you not see the Warriors?
when when a reporter asks you a completely valid question about your blown lead,
I
you
hated that.
you throw massive attitude and
Yeah.
you call the question stupid. It's just they're in my opinion they're both insufferable. My opinion on Murray has changed massively since the beginning of this series. Not of his skill level, but just of the kind of person he is. But a lot of the times in sports, your team takes on the identity of your best player. But because Jokic is kind of to himself, at least from the outside it
Mm-hmm.
seems, I think that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the team takes the personality of the coach in this case. And the coach is an insufferable front runner, so it seems as if Jamal Murray has become one as well. It's they got punched in the mouth in this series, and did they punch back? You can say so because they won 3 in a row. But really, their punch back, as I mentioned earlier, was Jokic just having one of the greatest offensive 3 game stretches we've ever seen. And after he cooled off a bit, they proceeded to lose by 45 and then blow a 20-point lead in game 7. Murray and Malone they rubbed me the wrong way. Between Murray's antics, Malone's tomfoolery, mailing in a game 6 in a series like that, I think at the end of the day, they got too high on their own supply from the head coach down. And I think Jokic is just happy that he gets to go back to his horses earlier than expected.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I've hated the Nuggets since last year just because I hate teams that are that dominant.
I don't
But
mind a 1 year dominance. The Warriors were
no,
annoying
but
after a
that 1 year
while.
dominance was just complete dominance. It was crazy. But yeah, what Mike Malone did to that reporter was inexcusable and not needed at all.
Not
You
at all.
can't be this coach that goes out and trolls every time you win,
Yeah.
and then second you lose, you hate everybody that talks to you.
Yeah,
Like
it was
there is
ridiculous.
probably 2 coaches in the league that can go out there and troll LeBron. That's it.
Right.
You're not one of them.
Yeah. They got a little high on their own supply. I think they thought that a dynasty was like in the bag and it couldn't be anything further from it because one championship doesn't a dynasty make. And they started acting, and it started in the regular season, man, them being a not serious team when you lose to the Spurs, which means you lose the 1 seed, and now all of a sudden, instead of in round 2 they would have had Dallas, it turned out. Instead of that, they have to play the Timberwolves, which who's the better team is to be seen, but they also in the first round have to play the Lakers instead of the Pelicans, which you're in harder. It was only 5 games, but all 5 games were closely contested, and there's several alternate realities where the Nuggets lose that series. All right, we're gonna move on. If we're good, are we good?
Yeah.
We're gonna move on to Celtics versus Cavs. Oh, just kidding. Nobody watched that series and nobody cares. So we're gonna move on and we're gonna do some conference finals previews. First, we're gonna start with what I think is going to be the best series of the entire playoffs. We have Wolves versus Mavs. Devin, simply put, who do you got?
One quick thing. What if we have Cavs fans listening?
Not the show for you, buddy. Nobody cares about your team.
How about we give them something? How about we just say what team you think Donovan Mitchell's gonna go to, Mason?
I think this season he'll stay on the Cavs and then he'll request a trade after this upcoming season because that's like the new thing now is to get the contract and then ask for a trade a year later.
Yeah, like what Beal did.
Beal, KD, kind of. I mean, I don't know if he necessarily planned it when KD did it, but
I
he
don't
did
think
end
he
up
did.
doing it.
Yeah. All right, there you go, Cavs fans. I got you guys. All right, now we
Yeah.
can go. Wolves, Mavs.
Thanks a lot, Devin. You had us talk about our star playing leaving the team.
I got Wolves in 6.
I
I think
figured.
that So what?
I figured we'd be on the opposite side of this series. That's why I had to whip out
Well,
the Luka jersey.
yeah. Um, the defense is insane from the Timberwolves, and who are they going to throw Derrick Jones Jr. on Anthony Edwards? Really, really? Mason, really?
PJ Washington. Hey, I haven't made a pick yet. It's your turn.
Really? I'm just so I have him at 6 because Luka's still a little injured. We know this. Kyrie, I think might be a handful for them. I'm not sure, but they have so much length, size to throw at Luka. I don't know how it depends how the reffing's going to go with how aggressive they can play defense. But same thing with the Nuggets. I trust their defense and their late game execution. And the Mavs have the Wolves play with 2 bigs. PJ Washington's not a big. How great he played he's not a big, and they have 3 bigs. So, I guess we'll find out. I think that the bigs and the defense just win the series for them.
This is a tough spot for me. I mean, as we both know, Ant is my guy.
Yeah, no, he's not. You're picking against him.
Ant is my guy, but Luka is also my guy. Official in the Transition Takes book of guys. I have both of them.
No.
I do though.
I burned that book.
Yeah.
Ant is my second favorite player in the league. I burned that book.
Ant is my second favorite player, so that's not even a trump card.
We can both have him.
No, he's mine. You have to.
Okay.
Your guy is Shea. You made that argument.
No,
You made
he's
that
not.
bad. Yes. You shouldn't have argued for him to be in Club Superstar, or not Club, Hotel Superstar.
You literally said in the car he would be in the Superstar right now if you were to remake it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have taken out Ant. I would have taken out KD or Curry.
Well, but what did I say? I said give me a week and Ant's not leaving. It's been 2 weeks and it's in there for somebody now.
Yeah, but I was ready to put him in there before you, so he's my guy. I'll do easy. All right.
Okay.
My pick is Mavs in 6. It's Luka's year, baby. Luka. So here's my reasoning. So far in the playoffs, Luka and Kyrie have yet to have a simultaneously great game, and they found themselves in the Western Conference Finals. The Mavs have 2 bigs, not 3, but they have 2. Unlike the Nuggets, who only had 1, although that 1 is probably the equivalent of about 5 of them. I think that the Wolves will have a natural letdown after defeating the big bad bully Nuggets, whereas the Mavs beat the youngest team ever. Like, it's not like they were overly emotional for that. It was kind of just business as usual. The Mavs can play 5 out, which heavily negates Gobert's effectiveness. And
can they?
Yeah.
With Gafford or Lively?
No, they'll put like PJ at the 5. They did that in the Thunder
great.
series.
Great, I love that.
But that heavily negates Gobert's effectiveness, and I think that my prediction about round 1 with Gobert will finally come true, where he will either get played off the court or he'll stay on the court and get toyed with, because this is an upgrade, even from Devin Booker or especially Jamal Murray dealing with Luka and Kyrie. Both of them are the 2 best guards they've played all postseason, simply because Devin Booker underperformed. Devin Booker's
I
better.
100% agree with you on what you're saying right now.
Devin Booker is better than Kyrie, but Devin Booker had a very bad series. It's close.
I feel like it's a lot closer than people think.
It is pretty close. Kyrie is an incredible player. Minnesota was built specifically to beat Denver by the same guy who built Denver, actually. And Dallas is the opposite of Denver in the fact that they have multiple ball handlers. They have a lot of spacing. And you say Derrick Jones, PJ Washington is a really good defender too.
Yeah, but he's not messing with Ant.
And nobody's messing with Ant. That's why he's my guy. Okay. So I have Dallas in 6.
I don't like that 5-out thing you're saying at all.
We're going to see,
That's
man. I'm a 5-out guy.
size.
I'm a 5-out guy.
No, but the Timberwolves can do the same thing with Cat and Nas.
Oh, yeah. This should be
Better.
Could be and hopefully is the best series of the playoffs. Even better than Nuggets Wolves was.
This should be the finals. Screw the Celtics. They can go to Cancun.
Hey, maybe one of us will pick the Pacers, man. You never know. That's a couple questions away.
Won't.
All right, we're going to move on to the next question, which is, would a title mean more for Ant or Luka?
You want to start? You want me to?
I'll start because I think the answer is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I think that it is clearly Ant that it would mean more to, simply because it would be both players' first championship, but nothing about Lucas is necessarily special in the fact that he's right in his prime. Ant is only 22. I think both of them will end up with at least one championship throughout their lives. So the fact that if Ant wins a championship, he will have done it as the best player at 22 years old is unprecedented. So
Dwayne Wade.
Was Dwayne Wade 22?
He was around that age. It was in his third year. Wade won it in his third year.
How old was...
2006. He might have been 23 because I think he was a little bit older of a rookie, but Ant is on a Dwayne Wade trajectory.
It says about 24. So 22, two
Yeah.
whole years. I'm going to keep what I'm saying. It's unprecedented, kind of like if the Thunder would have won the chip, that would be completely unprecedented, and that's why I think it would mean more for Ant, because Luka's isn't historic. It's just a great player getting his first ring, which would happen either way.
So you said it's an easy answer. We completely disagree then. I thought you were going. Okay, so my reason with Luka is Ant is so young. He's not expected to. And this whole thing with Luka since he's came into the league is, can the way that the Mavs play with the whole ISO ball, give Luka the ball, let him play the offense for the most part, can it win championships? Because it couldn't with James Harden. It hasn't been able to in the past. So if Luka can, all that give Luka the ball, let him cook thing leads to just empty stats will go out the window. Luka will be up there for the best player in the world, legitimately. He will, because he's going to be the best player on the team. He's going to win the Finals MVP if they win. And if he goes out there, puts up his 30-point triple-doubles every night, because he's a little bit older, like I said, people just don't know if that they can win with him not being able to play defense, all these things. I think it would just completely change the narrative for certain people around Luka. I think everybody in the world knows who Ant is, knows he can be the best player in a championship team around the system he plays in. I don't think people like the Luka system and don't think it can win championships. So I think that would change the narrative completely.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think where the reason that my answer was so drastically different is I don't compare it to James Harden even in the slightest, simply because
that's just what the narrative is.
Luka, and I just think that narrative is ridiculous because Luka is one of the greatest playoff performers in NBA history, and Harden is one of the worst.
Yeah.
So is the system similar?
System
Absolutely, but Luka is in the playoffs out of Harden's league.
But to be fair, that Harden system, they did make the conference finals every year, basically. Should have made the finals had Chris Paul not got hurt. And in that playoffs, I'm pretty sure Harden was playing very well. But I understand where you're coming from with that Harden-Luka thing. It's just the systems around the same. Nobody thinks they can win championships.
They actually only made 2 conference finals with Harden. It was one with the CP3 and then one with Dwight. Yeah, one with Dwight.
Yeah,
and they lost to the Warriors both times.
Both times. They shouldn't have the Chris Paul year, but that's nevertheless.
I mean, more or less, the James Harden Rockets lost to the Warriors any time they lost, it was to the Warriors. There was a year they lost to the Spurs, but other than that, it was almost.
That's
always
more what
the
I'm
Warriors.
talking about. I assumed it was in conference finals every time they played the Warriors, but there was a few years it was second round. But realistically, those were the finals in every year. I don't care. Those were the finals. Whoever won that was probably winning the chip. Just ended up being the Warriors every year.
Yeah, that is pretty true. And the Rockets came closest to doing it.
Yeah, every time
Even in the years that they lost before the conference finals, they usually took them to 6.
Yeah, it was no matter who was on the team, they just needed James Harden, and he was going to take them 6.
Yeah, because even at the James Harden was very good. James Harden his thing isn't that he never shows up. He'll have games where he drops
series.
Right, he'll have games where he drops 40, but the 3 of 11 game is coming, and that's the problem.
Yeah. It's just, will you get 4 good Harden games? Because if you can get 4 great Harden games, you can win the series. But if you don't get 4, you're probably losing with that
Yeah.
Rockets team.
Right. And that's why when they had Paul, it worked out so well because those bad Harden games, Paul would take over, and Paul was good at getting others involved as
Yeah,
well.
his injuries. I really wanted that Rockets team to win, but
Me too.
we
I
can
was a
move
Rockets
on.
fan at the time. Yeah, what a
Yeah, you
weird
said
little.
Harden was your favorite player, right?
He used to be, not anymore. Harden's not my guy. All right.
Yeah, that's why I said he used to be.
Yeah, Ant is my guy. All right, moving on to
No.
Celtics versus Pacers. um, do the Pacers? Did the Pacers have a realistic shot at winning this series?
I mean, at this point, yeah, the basketball gods love to injure whoever they play against. So,
That's true.
barring
the,
an injury, no.
the Bucks were already hurt, but they did lose Lillard.
No, but
through
they
that
just
series,
had
so
they
that's
just
fair.
had Giannis injured.
Yeah.
Lillard could have torn his Achilles, yeah, and Lillard could have.
Lillard
he probably
torn
could
his
have won if he
Achilles?
was there the whole. No, he could have.
Oh,
If he played on it because it was a sore Achilles. So,
damn.
or maybe it was his calf, and it would. I
Oh,
don't
like
know.
KD.
Either way, it was. Yeah, it was one of those two things, but.
Damn.
I think if Lillard stayed healthy that whole series, I think Bucks are in the conference finals right now. But so no, barring an injury, no.
Barring an injury, no. I think they do. I think it's a
Really?
I think it's a incredibly slim chance where Halliburton and Halliburton and Siakam have to play out of their minds.
Sorry to say this, Hallie's not built for it.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. He had some good games against the Knicks, and the Knicks are just as physical. Their defensive players aren't as good, but they're
It's
incredibly
just
physical.
yeah, that's it.
I think this will be.
But Tingus Pingus is out.
You're right.
Maybe
He'll miss
that's
at,
where they go.
He'll miss
Two,
at least
right?
2 games.
Yeah.
I think this is the biggest test for Boston so far. Sorry, Cavs fans. Porzingis missing those at least 2 games, and even when he gets back, he might not be 100%, and he'll definitely have to ramp his way back into game shape, especially for a big.
Yeah.
The Pacers' defense has ramped up. Halliburton and Siakam, like I said, will have to play out of their minds. I do ultimately have the Celtics in 6, but I think that considering the other 2 series have been kind of dominant 5-game series, I think a close 6-game series will be a nice change of pace. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk about the Celtics again on this show.
I think it's going to be a dominant 5-game series. Again,
That's
I
fair.
don't think, like I said, I don't think the Celtics will sweep a single person in the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to have any trouble until the finals.
Do you think that the Celtics will once again lose Game 2?
Yeah, I do actually. I was going to say that. They're not a good home team in the playoffs. They're actually very awful.
It's a really weird dynamic that they have, man. Which actually is
I
a
think people
decent.
just don't care anymore.
It's a decent enough segue to our next question, which I have a feeling you think is ridiculous. Do you think
Wait,
this question?
what?
Do you think this next question is ridiculous? Before I read it,
I mean, you heard what I said about him.
that's true. All right. Is Jason Tatum a superstar?
I think he's in the class of a superstar, but like I said, shout out our friend Ricky. He's one of the worst superstars in the league, if not the worst, because he's like Josh Allen in the playoffs. He will coast. He'll just coast. Maybe once or twice a series he'll have a crazy game, but he'll just coast. He's just people figure him out too easily in the playoffs and he gets stopped. Like there's plenty of times where Jaylen Brown or Derek White are the best player on that team in a series. Like Jaylen Brown and Derek White were the best player on the courts against the Heat. Didn't care to watch the Cavs series, but looking at box scores, Tatum didn't have a 30-point game till like the end of that series. So
Yeah.
he's one of the worst superstars, but I do classify him as that just because how great he is in the regular season and his great performance. Like he had a 50-point game against Boston or against Sixers in a closeout game last year.
Yeah, he's had some great individual performances. I'm going to say no. There's a reason that a player with his numbers and accolades wasn't in Hotel Superstar. Superstars don't average 20 points per game. A scoring superstar for the first 7 games of the playoffs.
He did?
That's it. Well, it was 21. but that's just
Yeah, oh, it
ridiculous.
was on bad efficiency. I saw that actually.
He has no takeover gene. He's actually rated one of the worst clutch players in the league this year. He has no alpha, no dog. It's weird that like TNT people or ESPN just say like, oh, Jaylen Brown is the alpha of this team and act like that's not an indictment on Tatum. To be in six Eastern Conference Finals in 8 years with 1 Finals appearance and 0 rings is insane.
Shout out the Heat.
That has never happened before. Do you know that?
Yeah, I
For a
believe
team
it.
to make it to the conference finals that often in that
It's
span,
the 3rd year in a row.
yeah, it's insane. And I will only say Tatum's a superstar once he wins a ring, depending on how the series actually goes. Like if he averages 20 and Jaylen Brown is the bus driver, then that doesn't do it. But he has to have a ring no matter what he does. Until he has a ring, I won't classify him as a superstar.
Yeah, I think out of everybody left in the playoffs, he has most to prove, and winning a ring and Finals MVP will do the most for his career.
Yeah, I mean this is his time. I mean he's the right age. He has the right team. He's had an absolute cakewalk. And if Indiana doesn't put up a fight, then it's just the ultimate cakewalk. Anything less than winning the ring is a disappointment for this team.
Yep, 100%. Can we say that if somebody on this Pacers team significant gets injured, we have to look into the Boston Celtics? Can we say this?
Like look into them for like health tampering?
Something, dude. They have not put a healthy team all year with all playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, but you said the same thing about Indiana. So if it happens to Boston, do we have to inspect?
Yeah, but
Indiana?
Indiana sucks compared to Boston. And if Indiana wins, I'll be throwing a party.
Well, if Indiana
Celtics.
It's sad to say, but if Indiana wins, it just means they're going to get swept in the finals.
Good. Anything but the Celtics.
I guess that's fair. I'm not a huge Celtics guy either. All right, we're going to move on to something that I kind of just came up with on the fly, but I think will be a little bit of fun. Who do you think is going to be the cover athlete of Madden 2025?
I don't think they've released it yet, but
They haven't.
Who do I think or who do I want or who should be, I guess?
I guess both.
I think it should be CJ Stroud. Who they might do, I wouldn't be surprised if they try another Mahomes thing.
Gross. That's unacceptable. He's had it like just 3 of the last 4 years.
Yeah, I just don't. Wwho else could get it? I'm trying to think.
I'm sick of the quarterback thing.
What if it's Brock Purdy? Would you buy the game if it was Brock Purdy?
No. It seems like now they don't really stick with one cover. They update it through the year. I would wait until they updated it to buy it. I would boycott.
I would love for you know who I actually want it to be? I want it to be Justin Jefferson.
Jay Jettas?
Yeah.
That's the thing, man. I want it to not be a quarterback. It's
Yeah,
been a quarterback
so
many years in a row.
Every year, basically. Last time, was it AB? Last time it wasn't?
Did the AB game come after the Gronk game?
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, I think it was. Which is crazy because they went on a streak where it was almost never a quarterback. Like Richard Sherman was on it.
Oh yeah, Fitz and Palomalu.
Yeah. They were switching it up. Different running backs were on there. So
yeah,
my
Adrian
answer
Peterson.
My answer is CeeDee Lamb. He was amazing last year, and I don't know if you know this, but a Dallas Cowboy player has never been on the cover of Madden.
That's easy.
Which is crazy for the most valuable the most valuable sports team in the world by a decent margin. They're the most valuable by $2 billion. Which
I think they're just
a lot of money.
I don't know. I feel like maybe EA doesn't think they're because they have a lot of fans. They also have a lot of haters.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
maybe EA wants to be neutral with their player and just pick hot players. A lot of Dallas players are hated, so maybe that's it.
CeeDee's not, and if not CeeDee, I want it to be Jettas.
No, CeeDee's not hated.
And
I like CeeDee.
It needs to not be a quarterback, and Dallas needs to extend CeeDee Lamb.
And Micah?
Yes. And I don't mind what they're doing with Dak, but they need to extend those guys. It's ridiculous. Although I
Agree.
guess maybe their thought is like, if they're not going to sign Dak and their quarterback's going to be bad, what's the point of having a receiver? And then without a receiver and a quarterback, your team's going to be bad. So what's the point of having Micah? And they're just going to trade everyone, and I'm going to burn all my jerseys, and I'm going to jump off a bridge.
What quarterback can they even get, dude? See? This is why the Falcons are so smart, Mason.
I'll burn you alive. I, I, while we're talking about Jettas a little bit, did you see that jump pass that McCarthy made?
Yeah, I saw the actual pass. I didn't see where it went to though. I just saw like a meme of it being picked off by a Bears player.
I didn't see where it went either, but I do find it funny, like, and I'm not like this as a Cowboys fan, but I'm sure there are a lot of Cowboys fans who are like this. But like at the first glimpse of hope, Vikings fans are like, oh my God, McCarthy, he's gonna be so good. Did you see that jump pass? Oh my God, like guys, let's put it back on our shorts. McCarthy has a very low ceiling. He's probably not going to be very good. You probably overdrafted
To be
him.
fair, I was the same way with Kyler, but I guess there is a difference. He was a first overall pick.
McCarthy
So
was
if that's
someone,
what you're getting at.
McCarthy was someone that when the season ended was going to be a second rounder, and then somehow people talked themselves into making him the 10th overall
One at
pick.
Michigan, and this quarterback class is pretty bad outside of Caleb.
Well, but that's the thing, though, is all of that was true when the season ended, but then a couple months later, without throwing any more passes, he went from a second rounder to a top 10 pick.
That's very interesting. I don't understand that. I think it's just the Vikings thing. I don't think any other team was that high on him other than the Vikings.
The Broncos were.
Well, yeah,
Probably
but they
the
weren't
Raiders.
getting him.
And I hope this doesn't ruffle any feathers. I don't like race baiting. But honestly, it seems that kind of thing happens to the white college quarterback a lot. It seems like
With them jumping up.
Yeah, like out of nowhere, they jump up.
Zach
for
Wilson
no
comes to
reason.
mind.
Right, Zach Wilson, now JJ. I'm really trying to not race bait, but I see that happen a lot, and it's confusing, and everybody's like, yeah, I don't really know why that happened, and unfortunately, the only common thread is that, and that's what I'll leave that at. We're going to move on to 2K cover athlete. Who do you think this one should be? I think it's obvious.
Shea or Ant. I
No!
think those are the only two options.
That's why
Am I
Ant
missing
is,
something?
That's why Ant is my guy. It's not Shea or Ant. It's just Ant.
Okay,
Ant's my
I
guy.
want it to be is Ant, but I think it could be Shea. That I'm just giving the two answers. I want it to be Ant because I think the background of it would also be a lot cooler, like the Minnesota blue. So I wanted to, their jerseys with the light blue that goes to dark blue.
Yeah,
I would want the background to be kind of like that. Yeah,
dude.
But
I'm
I
not
think
gonna
Shea
lie.
has a chance.
I'm a slut for ombre, man. I love ombre so much.
Dude, the Timberwolves jerseys are so sick.
They're so clean. I think it's Ant. Not only is he just simply him, but he's the best American player in the world, and America loves a homegrown star, which is why
he's loved everywhere.
Yeah, which is why I also think he'll be the next face of the league, mostly because he's American, which is that right or wrong? Doesn't matter. It's probably true. And at the end of the day, facts don't care about your feelings. So I think it should be Ant. I think it will be Ant. And
you know who would be kind of sick? Wemby. Wemby would be kind of sick.
Wemby would be cool. Maybe they do like
a 3?
I was just gonna say, because there's so many rising stars, they do like Ant, Shea, and Wemby.
Or they'll do like the
2K13.
the cheapest version Wemby, then the next version Shea, then the top version Ant.
Yeah, well the
Something
top
like that.
The top version is usually the Legend Edition, which usually has. They
Who's
just
that gonna be?
recycle. Well, they just recycle back and forth
It's
between
usually
Kobe
like
and
Kobe,
Michael.
Shaq, LeBron, or there's been a couple Shaq. Oh,
Dude,
LeBron won't get that yet.
I was just gonna say, there's no way it can be LeBron. He's still playing.
Yeah. I want them to get a new person though, like a new. You know what they should do?
What should they do?
What if they do like
Steve Kerr, number 25. That would go. Hard. That would go hard.
No, so they do like a hear me out. Let me cook.
Let him cook.
The top version, Kevin Garnett, Timberwolves legend.
Oh, okay.
Second version, Anthony Edwards. First version, Nas Reed. A?
That would go so hard. I'm not even
That'd
gonna
be
lie.
hard.
That would be sick. And then we just give all the Timberwolves love. What if they are planning this and then the Timberwolves don't win the championship and we just get like bombarded with Timberwolf covers and it's kind of just
I don't
awkward.
care. I don't care. Let
The
it happen.
shoot. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm really nervous about 2K25.
I am too.
I almost always dislike the odd number games. Like 20, 22 and 24 loved
I
them.
like 20.
Very good. And then
Yeah.
21, 23
21.
hated.
Yeah.
I think
but
it's because
hey,
they
there's
overcorrect
19.
every year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
think it's the whole next gen thing. They overcorrected, like you said.
19,
Hopefully 25's good.
19 was a decent enough game, but I got triple barred to go from 91 to 92, so I stopped playing.
Yeah, that's rough. I think I got triple barred at that exact spot.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. It's such nonsense.
I really hope 25's entertaining because this year has been very entertaining so far.
Yeah, this is a very good 2K in my opinion. Which just because we have a little bit of time to kill,
Hmm.
going off on a little bit of a side tangent. You know, one of the most annoying things in the world, and I'm about to name drop and call out one of our closer friends,
Who?
Ethan. I don't understand the logic of hold on, let me cook for a second, okay? In case
Go ahead.
anyone who may be watching this who hasn't played 2K before, this is called an Xbox controller. This blue button right here, right? In order to shoot, you hold that blue button for a certain amount of time. And when you hold it for the correct amount of time, you get what we call in the business a green bean, okay? And when you green bean, it is guaranteed to go in. Now, in these more recent 2K games, if you don't green bean, you're not making it, period. You never make whites. Well, the homeboy Ethan...
Wait.
Yeah? Did you say something?
Nah, you're good.
Oh. So the homeboy Ethan will not hold this button here for the correct amount of time and then say, this game sucks. Buddy, I love you. I do. Not holding the X button for the correct amount of time is not the game sucking. It's you sucking. Sorry. Also, your internet being bad is not the game sucking. That's your internet being bad.
No, it's
Again,
the game's fault.
Dude, no, Devin, it's not. So I guess I'm talking to you about it too. It's
No, I play
not.
the game, but I lag.
It's crazy, dude.
It's just very
Like,
frustrating.
he'll lag out and then get back on. This game fucking sucks. Like, it's your internet. And you know the proof that it's the internet and not the game? The proof is I have very good internet because I pay for really good internet and it never happens to me. That's the proof right there. All love, Ethan. All love. Mistiming your jump shot is not the game being bad, it's you. Your internet being bad is not the game, it's your internet being bad. And just to get his name dropped in the video, Brandon, slurp it up, buddy. All right.
He's also decent 2K.
he is a little decent, but that's okay. Anyone who is watching this and is interested in 2K, there's a bunch of 2K videos on the channel that you can go and watch. As to be expected, I'm our best player and I'm the star of the show.
No, he's D's.
Okay, Devin. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to our last topic of the day. This has been a really fun show. We're going to play a little game. This game is called Who Done It? We're going to be playing investigators. We're going to be detectives in a world of mystery. I'm going to give you the team, and you're going to tell me what closed their championship window, what made them go from contenders to lottery attendance. And we're going to start off with the Warriors. What caused the Warriors to go from title contenders to lottery participants? Was it Draymond going MMA mode on Jordan Poole? Perhaps it was Kevin Durant leaving to Brooklyn. Or maybe it was selecting Wiseman, Moody, and Kuminga instead of trying to get in an age star. They kind of tried that two-track system. Which one do you think it is?
Well, I'm taking the Kevin Durant one out because they just recently won a chip without him. Draymond one hurt, but I'm gonna go with the two timeline thing. Wiseman is not a good basketball player. Moody barely touches the court. Kuminga just now coming into his own. What, 3 years later? That's a 3-year-old draft class.
Yes.
They needed to trade those draft picks, get somebody to help. Now, they did win the championship that year that they got them, but
those players didn't play at all.
yeah,
so they still would have
because of them.
They still would have
So
won
they would've
that
just been
chip.
better.
Except
Yeah.
now they'd still have a Paul George or something like I don't know who.
Maybe draft one of those guys. Cool. Not all three.
Hopefully not Wiseman because he was the worst.
No, just to get Kuminga.
What's unfortunate for them was the 3 years that they had like good picks where all of them were like kind of decent draft classes. Like there was no Wimby in any of those draft classes. There turned out to be an Ant, but they couldn't have got Ant because he went number 1.
Well, they said they weren't going to take him anyways.
Dude, what were they
Because
doing?
they didn't. Oh, what did they say? Part of me wants to say.
I think they didn't think he was dedicated to basketball because
Yes,
he liked
that's
to,
what it was because the football thing. Yeah.
Which is like,
But dude,
dude,
did you not watch him play? I don't care.
yeah.
He
Ant
went to this draft. I don't know.
was
But
very good.
I'm gonna go with the Wiseman thing.
Why did Ant change his number? Do you know?
I think he wanted 5 all along, but somebody had it.
Oh.
I want to say it's for his mom. I'm pretty sure I want to say it's for his mom.
We love Mama Ant. Yeah, I think that selecting Wiseman, Moody, and Kuminga was the clear choice. I don't think that the Draymond thing really had much of an effect on them at all. And
Hey, Jordan Poole, it sucked losing him, but it's not the reason they won that championship, you could say.
right. And Kevin Durant leaving Brooklyn was kind of like that was obvious. They probably would have won more titles if he didn't leave.
Yeah,
but
they
ended
would
up
have been a
winning one anyway.
dynasty, but it's
Right.
not the reason they're a lottery team.
Right. Speaking of Kevin Durant, we're now in the Mystic Falls of Brooklyn, talking about the Nets. What caused the Nets to go from potential dynasty to being the to being in the Alex Sarr sweepstakes?
They're in the SAR sweepstakes?
Well, no, but they were one of the top picks. Sarr,
Okay,
well,
that's what you're saying.
everyone says Sarr's
SAR's
probably going to go one.
Atlanta.
All right. Was it
but-
Kevin Durant's big feet? Was it James Harden's hamstring? Or was it Kyrie Irving's allergy to vaccines?
I'm gonna kind of go off of those a little bit. I'm just gonna say it's James Harden's fault.
It's his fault entirely.
Pretty much.
I'm very intrigued. Spit.
Because they were not losing games when all 3 of them play. Yes, those injuries sucked that first year. But when they played, they were the best team in the league. Couldn't stop them. And Harden wants to just leave after 20 games with the team? Really?
But why did he want to leave?
It was the Kyrie thing. But dude, it's not your body. Why do you care? He was playing basketball. Kyrie played basketball.
I think it's because Harden, he felt as if he was sacrificing to be in Brooklyn because he wanted a championship and he was dedicated to basketball, and he didn't feel as if Kyrie Irving was, and it frustrated him.
Yeah, it can frustrate him, but once you get to those playoffs, you want Kyrie on your team.
Absolutely.
But come on. I think
Yeah.
it's Harden's fault that team blew up. I think it's Harden's fault they're a lottery team. I'll stand by that.
You're kind of spitting.
KD put up 50. Just he has a size 30 foot. Who cares, dude? Like, you almost beat the Bucks without Kyrie and Harden. Why would you want to leave that when you would have dominated the East?
Yeah, you're spitting. I said Kevin Durant's big feet just because that was the closest they had ever gotten, and I think that they would have won the chip that year if they got through Milwaukee.
Probably.
And if
was that
you-
the year? Who that year?
Milwaukee won that year. They beat Phoenix.
Okay, that's what I had thought.
If you win the chip that year, there's no way Harden is leaving. There's no way Kyrie is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
but
I
at that
think
point, you're depending on one man.
Huh?
I said at that point that year, you're depending on Kevin Durant to win them the finals. Because Kyrie was probably not coming back.
Yeah,
Harden
I guess
was
it wasn't
probably
as
not coming
shoo-in as you thought. I think that you made some really good points. I like your answer.
Thank you.
I think you won that one. You were the better detective in that question. All right, last but not least, we're hitting the beaches of Miami, where it is very
Thanks, bro.
important to always use protection and to watch your back. What caused the Heat to go from the finals to bounced in 5? Was it simply the health of the team? Was it lack of talent acquisition in the offseason? Or do you think Jimmy Butler faked an injury to run his coffee business?
No. It's a mixture of the top two. Health sucks. The Heat got a game without Jimmy. I think Jimmy there helps that team a lot. Jaime missed the last game as well. Terry Rozier was out the whole playoffs. Like, health sucks. Do I think they had a chance against Boston fully healthy? Yes. Do I think they would have won? No. That's where the talent thing comes in. I don't know exactly acquisition because I don't think they needed a big star. I think that they just needed more talent. So it's really just a lack of talent and health.
It's tough for me because this is a question on why are they not in the finals, right? Why are they not?
Yeah.
Not why did they not win round one? And if it was why did they not win round one, I think it's health. I think the reason that they were not, to most people, not a title contender is because they just simply don't have enough talent. Excuse me. And what they did last year was historic. 8 seeds don't usually do that. Or they were the 8, right? Yeah, they were the 8.
Mm-hmm.
8 seeds don't typically do that. So for them to have to try and do that back-to-back years was not a recipe that had did not have a high chance of being a success, and it ended up not being one. I think they simply need more talent. And if you could go back in time, Devin, as a Heat fan, would you have traded for Harden and instead of keeping Hero, you would have kept Hero still?
Oh, I don't think we would have had to trade Hero for Harden.
I thought that was what the report was, is that they refused to trade Hero for him.
That was the report. The Sixers are on meth.
The Sixers are on
meth. We're not trading our best asset for a 35-year-old point guard. No.
I think you should have. I think you probably would have a championship by now if you did.
No. I disagree. I've watched Harden. He's not even great in the playoffs. He's not a SPO guy at that. No.
Anyone can be a SPO guy.
You would have said a different player. No. There's a reason certain players don't come to Miami.
That's fair.
It's not for Harden. Other players, yes, not for Harden.
Fair enough.
I think you don't trade your best asset for an aging star like that that's had injury issues in the playoffs, bad games in the playoffs as much as he does.
That's definitely fair. I mean, I've been throughout this podcast a much bigger. I've been much more critical of Harden than even you have, so I definitely see what you're saying on that.
And another thing with the Heat is they shouldn't have even been a play-in team. Had they won certain games this year, like they lost a game to the Wizards this year, they lost a game to the Raptors. There's a couple just bad losses. They lost to the they lost to the Grizzlies. They had some losses. They win those games they're supposed to win. They're playing the Bucks, the injured Bucks in the first round. Then the Knicks, man, they could be in the conference finals because Jimmy wouldn't have gotten hurt. They took their own season.
Kind of a secret fourth option is for the investigators here was they need to take the regular season more seriously.
Yeah. Not crazy serious. Just beat those horrible teams.
Right.
We're 6 seed, like I said, playing Bucks. Maybe the Knicks, because I do think the Bucks threw at the end of the season to not have to play the Sixers or Heat possibly in that first round.
Look how that turned out.
But I think that there's a really real chance the Heat and Celtics are meeting in the conference finals again if they took the regular season 3 more games seriously than they did.
Yeah. Which that's where taking the regular season serious comes in, is against those really bad teams. Because those are the games that are tough to get up for. Especially when your best player is, what is Jimmy Butler now, 35?
35, 36, something around there.
It becomes tougher and tougher when you're that age because really at this point Jimmy's only playing to try and win a championship.
Yeah. Like the regular season was hard to take serious for them though this year. Their only consistent player in the lineup was Bam.
Yeah, what's
Tyler
up with
missed
that?
Like half the season.
The Knicks injuries we can point to. Tibbs overplays his guys. They play
old. The Heat are old as hell.
The Heat are old is why? You think that's why?
Yeah, like they're outside. Like their rookie was 22. The only young players really on their team is Tyler Hero and Jaime, or not Jaime, or I guess Jaime and Jovic.
Yeah, Jovic didn't seem to.
Jovic was
kind of pan out as they thought he would.
Really,
Mason? Yeah.
he showed some flashes. He also got hurt in that first round, but I watched every Heat game this year, and once Jovic got PT, Jovic can be a very, very solid player in this future. Not all-star, not getting that, but
Good role player.
he's only 20. He's only 20. And he's 6'7", the much defender now, but I just take it more serious in the season.
Yeah, I think that a lot of Miami conversations kind of start and end with if they were healthy, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Not sad like embarrassing sad, like sad like I
Yeah.
wish we could see this team healthy and see how
But
stuff actually
we do
goes.
see that it's a conference finals appearance easily. Like, just lock it.
Well, even last year they weren't fully healthy and they were still there.
Yeah, they were seeing their second best scorer.
All right. It's such a unfortunate way that he got hurt last year, just diving for a loose ball and broke his hand,
Dude,
right?
he didn't have to. That pissed me off. Grayson Allen basically had the ball in his hand when he had to dive for it.
Yeah, I mean that's the Spo way though. All the energy, the loose balls, all that.
Well, and he was playing. I think I know he had 12 when he got hurt, and he was shooting like 60% from the field. Like, he was playing good, and he does play good against Milwaukee because that's where he's from.
What's crazy is that he didn't realize that he had broken his hand. He kept playing, and I think he made
No,
a
he
three.
knew.
Oh, he knew and just didn't care.
He. I don't think he knew it was broken, but he knew something was wrong. And Gabe Vincent still passed him the ball in the corner, and he nearly made the three.
So close.
Yeah.
All right, man. Do you have any closing remarks, or you want to talk crap about any of our friends like I did?
No. I think that's about wraps it up. Oh, actually, yes. The NBA. I don't know if you saw the all rookie teams, but they actually nailed it this year.
Did they?
Yeah, the first team was Wemby, Chet, Brandon Miller, Jaime, and Pods, and the second team was Lively, Cason Wallace, Keontae George, Gigi Jackson. Oh, I forget the fifth name, but it was the right 10, which is very surprising.
Poor
Usually
Scoop.
they mess it up.
Not that he deserved it, but just like poor Scoop
Yeah,
for
he didn't make them.
so far not panning out very well.
Yeah.
Well, this was a lot of fun. I think this is now in 3 weeks. We've recorded this show 3 different ways. We are proving to be a very resilient show. The reason we did it this way this week is because Numbalch is out of town, and we wanted to get the show out before the conference finals started. I thought that was important to. If we would have waited for our normal schedule, we would have been uploading it after game 1 for both series and the same day that a game 2 would be happening. So we definitely needed to get this done, and I think it was a very successful show. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too. The schedule will be a lot more set in stone football season because we know when all the games are and everything.
Yeah, the NBA is a very tough sport to do a weekly show about, just because within that week that we're off, there's
Series can be basically over.
right, and you never know until like the day before, because if there's a game a game a day before we record, that could vastly change the entire outlook of the show itself.
Yeah.
But I had a blast. I hope you guys had a blast as well. Ethan, it's all love, of course. Just stop blaming your lack of skill on the video game. Karl Anthony Towns played very well that series, and his defense against Jokic was very good. Shout out Brandon. He wanted me to add that.
I did add that earlier when we were talking about them.
Yeah, but me saying stuff means more.
Okay.
And my closing remarks for the day is Ant is my guy and not Devin's. I hope you guys have a
God
great.
damn it, that was gonna be my closing remarks.
I hope you guys have a great week. If you enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll see you next week for more transition takes.
Deuces.